Are you interested in dual deployment on a two-stage rocket? That's what I'm going to cover in this episode of the Advanced Construction Workshop.
Welcome to Advanced Construction Videos, where we show you how to tackle rocketry building techniques and more. On our website, we sell kits, motors, building supplies, and electronics. So come and learn, shop, build, and fly when you visit us at apogeerockets.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Van Milligan from Apogee Components. Today I'm going to work on the sustainer on the Sandhawk upper stage for the Terrier Sandhawk rocket. This is a lock kit, and on our previous episode we had put on the fillets of the fins, and now I want to go over a few things before we continue working on it. First, I wanted to double check the fit of my transition into the bottom of the rocket. I noticed it's gotten a lot stiffer than it was previously. Now this is the front, and this is nice and loose. This one seems to get a little tighter, and I've looked inside and there's no epoxy inside. So what happened? So what I think happened is that the tube somehow, and I don't know how this happened, got out of round. So basically it's kind of like it's squished a little bit, and that's making this a little stiffer coming in and out. So my only options are to sand. So either I'm going to have to sand on the inside of the tube or sand on the outside of the shoulder. And I'm probably going to sand on the outside of the shoulder because I want it a lot looser than that. Because as I said, I want it to drag separate. So I want it to be really loose. I want it to just slide off real easy. Next, we need to talk about what are we going to do for the parachute on this rocket. Now the kit comes with, I think this is an 18-inch parachute. And as you can see, I've wrapped it with a Jolly Logic chute release because I think I might, instead of going dual deployment, just use the chute release to restrain the parachute so it doesn't deploy until it gets down to a low altitude. And so I wrapped it up, and I just wanted to make sure that it's going to fit inside the tube easily. I've got like from, depending on how long my shoulder is here, if I squeeze it and if I can push it in and not see the parachute in here, it means I got room. I can go all the way back to this bulkhead right here and I would be fine. My deployment charge here is going to be just a loose bag of black powder with an igniter in it. That's my preferred method. I've never had it fail on me, never to say that it can't happen. But instead of putting a solid ejection charge well on the bulkhead right here, I'm just going to use that little bag of black powder, and I'll show you how to do that. I think I've done this a number of times in a number of our other dual deployment eBay kits. So what I think I am going to use is the Jolly Logic chute release. I might put a bigger parachute on it because with all the electronics and the extra wood in here, it's a little bit heavier. Either a 24-inch or maybe a 30-inch Apogee parachute. They're small and light, and they pack really nice, and I think it will work really well. Now, the upper part of my rocket, I could either leave it empty or I might even put in a GPS tracker into here. This rocket's going to go high. I'm estimating about 6,000 feet, two-stage. It's got a big 38 millimeter motor in the upper stage, along with a 38 millimeter in the bottom stage. So that's an H to an H. So that's an I size, and an H rocket in a little, almost minimum diameter rocket like this is going to just scream. So a GPS tracker would not be a bad idea. I got plenty of room in there. My coupler, as you can see, when I first got this kit, I glued the bulkhead in, and in hindsight, I don't know if that was a good idea. If I would have left it open, it would have just been a coupler, and I could have just coupled the two tubes together, and I would have had a lot of room for a lot of parachutes. So right now, I just have a little bit of room for a parachute. If I wanted more room, just leave that bulkhead out. Just glue it together, and now you got a large amount of room. As we talked about previously, you can put an altimeter in here, a dual deployment altimeter. There's plenty enough room. We do have a kit for 54 millimeter, which is what this is, dual deployment eBay. It's from Always Ready Rocketry. It will fit in here. It's a little bit longer, but it will work fine. So anyway, what I need to do now is to work on the cover that covers the electronics bay. And from the last episode, what I've gone ahead and done is pulled off the little sheet of paper. And as you can see, I've drilled my hole here. That's pretty standard stuff. I took thin CA glue, thin super glue, and wicked all around the edges and then sanded them to make it nice and smooth. I've also sanded on the inside of the rails here. I just used a flat file for that, just to make it nice and smooth, and again, super glue around everything. So when you place this on here like this, I want it to be nice and flush. I noticed that it's flush here at the front, and it's flush here at the back, but in the middle, it kind of sticks up a little bit. And I think the reason for that is somewhere in putting this together, I must have squeezed this down. And so the middle is kind of squeezed. So again, it's kind of oval shape in the middle, where on the ends, because of these bulkheads, it's more round. So my only option right now is to just live with it. It's not a lot. It's less than 1/16 of an inch, and it's only right in the middles. As I designed this thing from the beginning, I need to put in a little shelf under here. Actually, it's going to go on this side so that when I put this together, this will engage underneath of it, underneath the edge of the tube, and that will lock it down so that when the ejection charge goes off, this doesn't pop up. Because that would be like really bad, because then the parachute wouldn't come out, because the ejection charge would come right out of that hole. And then in the back, I'm going to put a little shelf again on this end, and I'm going to put a nut and a screw under there, and that's going to hold it down. So the screw will be under here. And so I need to make those shelves, and I'm going to use the tube coupler right here to do that. So this is going to be cutting a large diameter tube, and we've done a previous video on this topic, cutting large diameter tubes, but I'll give you the synopsis here. First, I'm going to need a long strip of paper, and it only needs to be a strip. And I only need one straight edge, which is why I carved it crooked. And I'm going to wrap this around the tube. And I'm going to cut off about that much. So that's going to give me that much coupler left over. That's plenty coupler to make sure that these tubes are aligned. And I want to wrap it around. Make sure it's on there tight. Make sure that edge stays nice and sharp. Get a piece of tape here. And then I'm going to tape the edge so that it can't slide back and forth. And then I'm going to take a hobby knife, and then I'm just going to carefully go around this edge. It's going to take several passes until we cut through. And this is the technique I use for all large diameter tubes. You can see my little finger is keeping on the edge. Just to steady my hand. So there I got a nice cut, and we can clean up the edges if we want. In this particular case, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is going to be my shelf, and I need a pencil. Okay, so now I'm going to cut And I'm going to cut like from right here to right here. And I don't have an aluminum angle here, so I'm going to use this. You got to be very careful doing this because it's going to want to slide around. But fortunately, they don't have to be straight. Okay. Okay, so this is going to get glued like this. And I'm going to use approximately, well, let's see. I'm not sure how long to make it, so I'm just going to tack glue it really quickly. Okay, so that works. That's exactly how I want it to be. So now I'm going to go ahead and really saturate this with glue, and I'm going to use thin super glue here. You should wear eye protection when you use thin. And I might as well just saturate it too, just make it a little stiffer. Paper towel. There we go. Okay. So I need to do another one of these, but this time I'm going to glue it under here on this side. Okay. And then to the bottom of that, I'm going to glue that nut, and I'm going to do that right after this announcement. Okay, I've cut another piece of the coupler to make the shelf here in the back, and I've already gone ahead and drilled a hole in it, and I've saturated it with the thin CA glue, and that's going to get glued under here like this. Now the problem I have, and I should have thought about this earlier, I should have put this one on second, because I need to kind of attach these together with the screw and the nut on the back. And then bond it in there like that. But since this one doesn't go in all the way, there's a chance that this could be not in there properly. So it's just a thing I'm going to have to worry about later. If all else fails, I'll take that hole here on this side and enlarge it so that it will, I can still get the screw in. Okay, so now I want to take this screw and bond it to the little piece of cardboard like that. For that, I'm going to use epoxy, and this is the Bond Aid epoxy, and this is a 5-minute epoxy, so in 5 minutes it's going to be rock hard. And the nice thing about, since it's a clay, it'll stay where I put it, so it's not going to get into the threads. Okay, you just peel off the outer wrap and then you just mix it together. And this is going to take me approximately 35 to 40 seconds to get it thoroughly mixed. Okay, so I've got it mixed. Now I'm going to make a little snake and then wrap it around the nut. Then I'll put it down and then smush it down, making sure that it's centered right into my hole here. And all this excess stuff I can stick on there too to really stiffen up that piece. The thing I have to do is make sure that there's still plenty of room in there, and it is. So I'm going to give this 5 minutes to harden, and then we're going to mix up some more. No, I think we'll probably use super glue. Okay, so my epoxy has hardened on this little piece, but then I discovered a little problem. Once I put this in, remember I have the little straw that goes right down here along the side, and I've got so much epoxy on here that I think I might be blocking that hole so I can get the igniter in there. So what I thought I would do was just take a file and just file a groove in there, and it got to be pretty hard to do. So I just made a new piece, okay? And on this new piece, I've got less epoxy on this side than on this side, so that when I stick it in, you know, I'm not blocking my hole. I can see in that hole pretty good. So that's the way I would do it. So a word of the wise, measure twice, cut once. So this is scrap now. All right, so now this is the hard part, making sure that I can glue it up. All right, so I'm going to take my screw and turn my nut like this and put it in. It's got a little epoxy in there, but it's out now. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack glue it in like that. Remember, this side won't go in all the way, so I'm just going to put glue just on the edge, because I know that's the edge that's going to engage. And for this, I'm going to use super thick super glue, and I'm also going to take a little bit of the accelerator. And that's what I have here in this jar, the accelerator. And I'm going to take a little stick and I'm going to rub accelerator on the back side so that when I put this in, it grabs real fast. Because you know how impatient I am. Okay. Okay, and I'm pressing it down here in the middle. I'm kind of bending it to make sure that it's flat. And I'm just going to hold it here until I know that that glue has a chance to set. So I might pause here and I'll be right back in just a second. Okay, I can tell that the glue has set because it's not wiggling, which is good. So I should be able to take out this screw here. Okay, so that's in there. That's set pretty good. Now I'm going to wick some thin in there, and I just want to be careful not to get any in the threads, but I could probably push that out. And of course my thin is clogged. All right, where's my safety glasses? Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll just kick it off here with accelerator. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's test fit it. So I'll put that in there. And my screw hole is right there. I'm so excited it's going to work. Like I said, I only want one screw to hold that on, which is great. All right, so let's do one more test here. And that's my igniter test. So I'm going to take I got an E-match here, and I want to find the hole. I found the hole. You just want to push that in until it comes out the rear. And there it is coming out the rear. So that worked good. The hole's not blocked. I am ready to install the electronics, but before I do that, I'm going to paint the rocket. So the next time you see this rocket, it's going to be painted. I'm going to glue that coupler into the upper stage, put the nose cone on, and then paint it. And then at the last videos, I don't know if it's going to be more than one, but at least the next one is going to be installing the electronics. So my name is Tim Van Milligan. You're watching the Apogee Rocketry Workshop. May the winds be light and may the skies be blue. May all your rockets fly straight and true.